Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. Today on the journey, well, to say the least, it's been hectic because it is now 10:22 at night on March 16th of 2021. And we have been trying to talk anyway, or at least starting there, about success and how to figure out where you're standing, how to get your life turned around. Well, as you can see, things have been changing behind me, which does indicate, considering I've got the rest of the house to work with as well, that we are making headway. Now, that little sign up there, I was looking at it today, the sign I've got up there, is what I desire to earn before the end of March to make sure that I'm on track. Tomorrow I've got to go through finances again just to make sure everything is running properly. But it has been, to say the least, hectic. Okay, I'm doing it this late at night because I want to make certain I got one out per day. So, for a lot of you, you're going to end up getting two today because, well, let's face it, it's a little late. But hey, what the heck? At least we're staying on track, sort of. Now, as I mentioned, it is very important when you get an idea in mind, when you've got a path that you desire to follow. Sometimes you have to push your own limits. Sometimes you've got to sit down and say, okay, I'm making this happen. And that's what's happened in this case. So I put in, because I was getting a lot of things ready for tomorrow. Yep, definitely tired, but that's okay. We'll make sure that we don't do that again, or at least do our best. Anyway, tomorrow I've got a bunch of other things going on, not the least of which is trying to get things moved around. But when we start looking at success, personal success, and I don't mean business, I don't mean your social life, I mean all of it. I'm walking through you in another segment called Believe in Your Business, how to take it one step at a time. However, where we're talking about life, quite often life does not go according to plan. Now, I have come to the conclusion that trying to make technology work for me just doesn't work that well. So I'm just doing things one step at a time, and I bring people in when I have technological work to work with, technological gear. Now, the difficult part about it, if I seem a little scattered, it's only because in today's case I really am. So this may be a shorter one, I haven't quite decided yet. Now, I was talking about shifting your eyesight yesterday. Okay, and if you recall correctly, or if I recall correctly, eyesight, regardless of your age, can be healed. Now, don't get me wrong. Yep, we're going to have problems. Anyway, eyesight can be healed, but you do have to look at it from the standpoint of sometimes, as a matter of fact, most times, doctors, ophthalmologists, that sort of thing, are going to be kind of imperative. There are not many people that I've run into that have the focus to be able to correct their own eyesight. Okay, hearing is another problem because more often than not, if your hearing is going, there is actual physical damage or physical blockage. Like in my case, when I got the ear infection, I had so much junk in my ear. It took a hearing specialist to get it cleared out. Okay, I couldn't see what I was working with, and that's okay. That's why we work together. That's why people work with each other to make it happen. Okay, now there are other things you can do. For instance, like with my left hand, I had a stroke a couple of years ago, as I've mentioned, and now I'm doing the necessary work. Okay, and we are making headway, but it's taking one step at a time, and all it really boils down to is this. If your hand is moving, like in my case, it's my whole left shoulder, the whole left arm just doesn't have the response time. I used to write with my left hand. I can't do that now, but not yet. But a lot of the issue of it is simply repetitive work. So simply doing something like picking it up and handing it one hand to the other. Okay, maybe all it takes just to get that hand remembering how to move. Okay, now this looks like it's boring as heck, which in reality it is. So if you're going to do something like just getting your hand to work, okay, then turn on a movie so you can sit there and watch it and just almost absentmindedly do this sort of thing. Right. And you'll notice it's really repetitive. But the important factor of it is it's that repetition that will retrain the nerves to send the signal to the hand that you require. The same applies if you're having trouble walking. You know, if you can't get your legs to work right. You sit down and I can't do it here. You know, in all fairness, because of the way the video is, I cannot back up far enough for you to see. But you know, if you think about it, if you're just moving your foot off the ground and picking the knee up, okay, what you're doing is teaching that limb to rework itself. What I'm getting at here is very simple. You know, heart attacks, they're usually a pain in the neck. Well, actually, a pain in the heart. But they don't usually do a whole lot of damage that you have to rebuild. With a stroke, it takes a little bit longer. And if you're one of these people that have had one, rest assured, you know what I'm talking about, that it can be a pain in the neck, but it can be repaired. Okay. The difficult part is trying to get things organized, you know, trying to stay focused on it because it is a trying little issue. You know, patience is not my strongest suit either. Okay. But to give you an idea, like I had a heck of a time today. I was supposed to go out to get blood work done and what have you. It didn't work out that way. Fortunately, I've got a couple of days I can do it, so I'm going out tomorrow. And that's sort of one of these things I just have to make sure I do, on top of everything else. But I think tomorrow I best get started back on certain writing projects. So we should just get that on the list here and make sure that we're dealing with it. But here's the thing, okay, a list is totally useless if you don't actually go through it. Okay, so you know it really boils down to just getting things organized and making a note for yourself. However you do it, I use a pad because as I go through it, I'll go through a day, tear the pad off and toss it out, and tear the sheet off and toss it out. Now, the only reason I do it that way is I had to get into something that if the computer wasn't working, I was still able to continue. I don't think I'm going to try this again at this hour of the night. It's amazing how annoying that is, at least for me. So, my apologies. See, what'll happen here is I'll go to bed in probably half an hour. Like, I'll get finished this and probably go to bed shortly thereafter. The reality of it is I'll probably be up at 2 or 3 in the morning and carry on. It's just the way my sleeping tends to go. Okay. Now, speaking of sleeping, here's the funny thing about it. People talk about needing a, you know, if you're trying to get your sleep sorted around, about going to bed at a specific time. The real kicker to it is this: trying to go to bed at a specific time may well work as far as going to bed, but if you're not tired, you're still not going to sleep. If, however, you set it up so that you get up at a specific time, then you stay up as late as you have to, but regardless of how long you stay up, get up at that time. Now, in my case, I have a tendency of making sure I don't sleep any later than 5 so I can be in the office by 6. Now, if you think about that, if I'm in the office by 6, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I've already done a full day's work. Okay. And this is also one of the reasons why a lot of business people, of really successful business people, I don't understand this part, but they end up out on the golf course by like 2. Well, it's because they've already put in an 8-hour shift. Now, the part I don't understand about it is why go out to the golf club? You know, personally, I don't enjoy golf though, so that might be that issue. Okay, of course, in my case, I've got a bad leg. How would I enjoy golf? Aside from mini golf isn't bad. You know, but pick a time that you're going to get up in the morning, regardless of how long you're up at night. By doing that, you can get yourself on track. You can get up at a regular base and know what your day is going to look like. Now, yes, you will likely, what I found is you'll likely find that it takes you a couple of weeks to get yourself turned around. You know, where you're actually getting up and feeling refreshed and on the go. Okay, at that time frame. Now, I worked it out based on what I'd been told by a lot of people. Oh, I need 8 hours of sleep. I'll tell you, if I get 8 hours of sleep, I'm an absolute wreck. But based on the idea of 8 hours, I did some calculations and figured, well, what happens if given that you don't lose quality of life and you don't lose focus, what would happen if you cut your sleep from 8 hours to 4? Now, I had no real intention on developing a problem with that, but I did the calculations, and it works out. And do the calculations yourself. It turns out you gain about a month and a half living time over the course of the year. Now, this isn't a bad run if you're not losing time, if you're not losing quality. Okay. So this is just one of the things that I've come to the conclusion is very important to work with. Pick a time that you can get up in the morning and get your day started. Now, the most challenging obstacle I've found in most people's lives is the first obstacle. And this is where this funny little book came in. I think it's this one. Let's just see. Nope, that's the business one. It's the other file. Yes, we have everything right here. This was actually one of the first booklets I put together, called Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. This book, like most of the others, is especially the self-help ones, I've kept as simplistic as I can get. Now, the first challenge that you have, the biggest obstacle people face in life, the first one, more to the point, not the biggest, is getting out of bed in the morning. Now, I don't know about you, but I get up when I wake up, most of the time I'll go, I don't really want to get up. Right? I want to stay in bed. It's warm. It's comfortable. You know, it's cozy. And then so I lay there going, I don't want to get up, but I've got stuff I got to do. Well, guess I'm going to have to get up. First challenge of the day. Here's how you start your day heading for success. As soon as you wake up, let your eyes focus enough that you can see. Because I'll tell you, I've tried getting out of bed before I can see. It's a bad scene. Okay. As soon as you can see, get out of bed. Okay. Go do what you have to get yourself up and mobile. Come back, make your bed. Now, it's not a question of you have to make your bed for your life to be in order. It's a question of getting into a routine that leads to a successful set of patterns, a successful set of habits. Okay, making your beds, all that does is it tidies the thing up so the energy is sitting correctly, so that it's sitting smooth. And the whole trick with becoming successful for you is getting into this rhythm of making things organized. As you can see, I don't always put stuff away. Of course, in all fairness, I've been on the go all day, so I haven't exactly left the office too terribly much. Okay, I just ended up getting sidetracked that I had to work tonight. But when you start your day out and you get up, get the bed made, get yourself organized, and then get out of the house, out of the bedroom. And like I said, if you're working from home, really strongly recommended that you get up, get actually dressed. Do not go into your office to work in your house coat. Sure, it's convenient, but it sets really bad habits in place. Okay, and the reason I say that it does is because with over 80,000 clients under my belt, I have absolutely determined that when people do tend to to ease off on the way they're dressing, their quality of work tends to go down. Now, I know you're going to sit there going, well, my quality of work will never go down. Well, yeah, it will, in all likelihood. You may be one of the lucky few. Okay, even in my case, I don't get enough done. Now, mind you, in all fairness, I'm on video. The last thing on the planet you want to see is me in a house coat. It's just not necessarily a good option. Okay, so you get up, and that's where you start. Okay, get an idea in your head again, and I know I'm repeating this part. It's very necessary for you to take a look in the mirror and go, what do I see as successful? Okay, for me, it really boils down to a simple issue. I've got a number of markers that I haven't quite gotten back on track. My stroke is still annoying me, okay, because I haven't gotten everything back on track. But what I have done is I got my head on straight now, so I know what I'm aiming for. Okay, at least I've got a solid picture in my head. The hardest part of all of it is I don't know about you, but patience is not my strongest suit. Okay, but from that standpoint, it is one of these issues of making certain you get organized. Now, I got a lot of work done when I was setting up and trying and getting my writing done. I got a lot of that done today. Okay, got it all organized so I know what I'm after, and I'm making headway. Of course, the thing that absolutely threw me for a loop today is I had somebody come over to repair the computer, like to reset it. It was having troubles. So I had somebody come over to take a look at it. And much as I could listen to what they were saying, it was frustrating me because there was no way I could keep my mind wrapped around it. And yet, at the same time, I will sit here and quite readily write 35 different books at the same time and not lose track of any of them. I think it's 35. I'll have to do that count again tomorrow, just so I can be absolutely certain. You know, the hard part is trying to understand in my own head how I have so much trouble with it. Okay, now I understand the issue of put things off and you never get very far. The reality from my standpoint is now that I've got things moving, the laundry room is ready to take the washer and dryer. Okay, I've got one last thing I got to do there tomorrow, but that's okay because the washer and dryer don't show up until Thursday. Okay, the good part about all of this, and I think tomorrow we're gonna actually make some headway. You know, I didn't even get to email, so if somebody dropped me an email, I do apologize. I will get to those tomorrow. I might get to them tonight before I go to bed, but I'm not holding my breath. Okay, and the reason for that is, well, frankly, I can only hold my breath for a minute, maybe. I used to be able to hold it a lot longer, but that's going to the only way that'll happen is if I work at it. And amazingly, I don't really have a lot of motivation for it. I'm not exactly underwater a lot now. Okay, I'm hoping to keep that way. But when you've got a goal in mind, and many people that I talk to now are going, I'm not happy with where my life is. I'm not content with what's going on with it. Where do I start to change it? Well, where you start is right wherever you are sitting. Start right where you're sitting. This is why I've got this neat little pad here that I keep picking up. Because I've already got a list for tomorrow, started. Only I have a tendency of going overboard. Okay, but I am making headway on that one. I'm deliberately forcing myself not to get carried away. Because taking the time to write out list after list, if you're not working on the list, you're just adding work for yourself. Okay, now I don't know about you, Myself, I've gotten to the point that I'm really not that content with just adding work on to everything else I'm doing. Now, it's not like I don't have enough to do anyway. Okay. The reality is, when I look back at 2020, it was an absolute shambles. There was a lot of loss that happened for people, a lot of setbacks. So take a look back over 2020 and really get it clear in your own head, not what went wrong. Let's not deal with what you lost, with what went wrong. Let's deal with what you actually accomplished that was good. In my case, it was real simple. I got my head on straight where I desire finances to go. Okay, and that is one of the critical factors, because the net result with that is it has actually left me in a position where I actually now have money to pay bills. Okay, I would just as soon not have bills to pay with money, but hey, life goes on. But the real critical factor from my standpoint is this. Take a look at what you're not content with. Okay, not what's going right in your world. It's a great idea to focus on that and go, this is right, this is great, I like this, I like that. It's a fantastic idea. The problem is, if you focus on just what's going well and you ignore what's having problems, you don't advance very far. Okay, and there's an old saying that goes, man is not judged by the height to which he climbs, so much as by the depths from which he has climbed. Well, financially, I'm pretty certain I've done well enough, as in, I've hit bankruptcy twice. That's pretty low on the totem pole. I've managed to avoid being homeless. Okay, I didn't manage to avoid the issue of not having food in the house. Okay, so now what I'm doing is working my way up. Okay, I'm getting myself back on track. Or more to the point, I'm getting myself on track for the first time. I look at it this way. There are many people that have succeeded. Now, the one I have always looked to, right now, I'm about to turn 58. And I love the way that Colonel Sanders did it. My understanding is he was 65 when he opened his first chicken stand. Okay, 4 months later, because people wouldn't do it his way, he shut the doors, fired everybody, and a month later reopened under a new name. Now, I don't know what the first company was called. I do know it ended up opening up and becoming Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I'm pretty certain you've heard of. Now, if he can get to where he was by the time he's 65, starting at 65, frankly, I'm starting 7 years earlier. I should have no functional problem getting ahead if I stay focused and if I do things the way I know they will work. And like I've mentioned before, when you're trying to accomplish something, okay, I call it trying quite deliberately, because more often than not, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to accomplish what you're aiming at unless you luck out. Okay, but talk to somebody that's done it successfully. And this is why I'm saying I've pulled myself out of being an absolute pack rat, which is why the shelf behind me is getting cleared out. And this one over here with all the blue bins, that's got all most of my little figures in it, the ones I paint. Okay. By getting things reorganized, the energy in the office starts running a lot more smoothly. The energy in the house runs better, and my own personal get up and go comes back on track. So all in all, it's actually not a bad setup. I'm going to do my absolute best tomorrow to because everything was going great, and then I got a little sidetracked, and well, it fell off track, but I was doing really good in my eyes. As soon as I got up in the morning, get in, do my day, take a moment out to get my coffee, come in, do my video for the journey first thing in the morning, and then carry on with the day. Well, I didn't do that for the last couple of days, and it's gotten real tight. Needless to say, this one is coming out really late in the day. Not happy with myself on that, but I'm not going to beat myself black and blue. Okay. But it is something to pay attention to. procrastination accomplishes nothing but delays. Fortunately, I caught it in time, so when I got off shift tonight at 10 o'clock, I immediately went, no, I gotta get this video done. I made a commitment to myself, and I did. I'm not entirely certain I want to say I made a commitment to you guys, but I did tell you I was going to do my best to put out one video a day at least. Okay, and the journey is the one I've chosen to work with, which is why you see things happening. Now you'll notice I end up repeating a lot of the same thing because life takes time to shift gears. Okay, I gotta check video, I gotta check my messages and what have you before I do the next video to make sure if somebody's asked something that I can actually deal with it on tomorrow's video. But at least things are getting on track. This is just one of those things that life goes on. And I'll tell you, it's really kind of funny. Part of the reason I'm doing this, yes, I'm doing it, I was asked to, but it turns out it is easier to do a journal by video than it is to write. And rest assured that's even more so if you're having trouble writing at this point. Okay, and as we are coming down to the tail end here, I'm going to thank you very much for joining me. I hope that I get a thumbs up out of you. That would be great. Please subscribe to my channel. Okay, there's a lot of information going to be coming out over the next few weeks. Quite frankly, there's going to be a lot over the next few days. Okay, so absolutely pass it on to the people that you know. Okay, and I'm going to leave it short here. Okay, because like I said, I'm going to get some shut-eye here pretty quick. This is way later to do this video than I was planning on, which means there's two coming out real close back to back. Okay, but until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.